In a world that screams for your attention, there is a place that invites you to peace. You don't need a building. You don't need a choir. You just need to turn your heart to Air One.
Air One, songs that heal, lyrics that pray for you when you don't have the words.
From Lauren Daigle to Elevation Worship and more.
This isn't just radio. It's worship for the everyday.
Escape the noise and worship now.
Download the Air One app. Ask your smart speaker to play Air One or visit air1.com. Air One, worship now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation, as usual, as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm thrilled you can meet with us today. We are going to be talking with an author and her husband, who is her cohort in publishing, regarding the book, The Afternoon, and it's about dementia, aging, and just their courage to stay in the game. And Eva and Viktor are just wonderful. I spoke with them earlier, but prior to introducing them, I always encourage people to check out alzheimerspeaks.com. We have a ton of free educational resources for you. We also have a sister company called Dementia Map. And if you have a service, product, or tool regarding dementia or caregiving, please feel free to add your company or your product or your tool. Everything is vetted by me, so I will be checking those out. If you need help doing that, let me know. So with no further ado, let's introduce you to our guests. So Eva and Viktor, I'm so excited to have the two of you with us today. We've chatted a little bit briefly, and I think you're just going to be a wonderful asset to our audience here. But before we get started, I always ask my guests to introduce themselves. So Eva, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Okay, and of course. So first of all, I need to admit that my English is not perfect, so I really apologize. And it's funny. Sometimes I feel like a dementia person who understands everything, yes, but not eager to show everything, all my feelings. I am a journalist, and I was editor-in-chief of Lithuanian magazine Eva and also Lithuanian version of Cosmopolitan for 20 years. But it happened many, many years ago, so this career was finished in 2009. So from this time I started to write my books, and Afternoon is my 10th book. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. And Viktor, you want to introduce yourself to our guests?
I got a formal education as an architect. However, I worked very shortly because very soon after my graduation, we established our own magazine publishing company. And for many years, I just worked as a director, as CEO of our publishing company. That's it. And after selling it, I returned to my profession, and a lot of projects. So that's it.
Okay.
And all the time we were working together because Viktor is designing all the books, making covers, and yes,
yeah.
and pictures.
That minor little detail, Viktor, that you left out. Yeah, that's very, very important. So thank you, Eva, for bringing that up. Now, Eva, do you have in your family or circle of friends anyone who's been touched by dementia?
Yes, it was my mother. And also it was Victor's mother and Victor's father.
Okay.
So
Yeah, in
yes.
different forms and
So-
in different stage of life, but unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you comfortable saying what types of dementia they had?
Yes, my mother had vascular dementia.
Okay. And how long did she live with that?
Oh, it was not so severe, but after her stroke, so it progressed very quickly. So she passed in 3 or 4 months after stroke.
Oh, wow, that is quick.
Yeah,
How
it's very quick.
Okay, Victor, how about your parents?
My dad, I cannot tell you exactly. I don't want to lie, and I cannot tell you exactly what kind of dementia he had. It developed after a series of micro strokes, and then he lived quite shortly.
And to me, it seems that he lived about 10 years now with
The
it.
dementia?
Yes.
No. About 2 years, and his behavior changed dramatically. He became like nasty boy. He was unrecognizable, and my mom dies at 92, and I think that first signs of dementia appeared maybe 7 years, but it was something almost undetectable. But later on, it developed. It became more and more. She became suspicious. She became jealous.
Jealous, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and still, she was a very, very nice person, and part of her personality remained almost all this time. So she still had friends who liked to visit her all this time, and to visit her and to enjoy what left.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. I know my mom got kind of that jealous, paranoid state, for part of it. That was probably the most difficult portion to deal with because you couldn't undo that thought process in her head. It was total reality to her. And then once that passed, then she kind of calmed down and things. But that was probably one of the toughest parts of the journey for us was that distrust and not knowing when that was going to occur. With her, I know we would go up to the lake. That was where my mom and dad lived, and she like wouldn't let anyone else in her kitchen but me. And so all the families are up there, and I'm cooking and cleaning for 30 people because I was the only one allowed in her kitchen, and stuff. And so it was just, but that was what we had to do to kind of keep her calm and comfortable. And so you just, I can appreciate that very much. Let's talk about your book, Afternoon. And Eva, what led you to write that book?
Oh, first of all, my age. And before this book, my age never interested me at all. But it became for me interesting when I got a document called Certificate of Old Age Pension Recipient. I got it when I was 64. So I was officially recognized as an old woman, and the phrase age is just a number transformed for me into understanding age matters. But I prefer to be called a woman in my afternoon, and I am very grateful to Carl Jung, who coined this term, which he coined for people between 55 and 85. So I like to be woman in my afternoon, but not an old woman. When I started my book, I was 64, the same age that was Paul McCartney's father, for whom his teenager son dedicated his song When I'm 64. But when Paul himself turned the same age, he said that now he wants to rewrite his song, and he wants to name it When I'm 94. And it's, for me, it's so remarkable and so beautiful, because I think that the understanding, it's the same understanding for all of us when we grow older, that old age is something that is always far away from the number of our real age.
And you know what? I can say that this story about Paul McCartney, it's not just something invented by somebody. You can find this short when he tells the story to a correspondent, to a journalist. You can find it, I don't know.
It's a real story.
In social media.
Social media, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember when that song came out, and it definitely hits home different. I'm 67 now, and I even remember when I was younger and dealing with my parents, and they were never old, because old was always 10 years older than them in my mind. And that was like the safe zone. You know, nothing was going to happen. Everything was just going to keep going the way it was. Life was going to be good. And, you know, we weren't going to run into any crisis situations. Everyone was living independently. But boy, when you said you got that certificate of old age, that would have like slapped me in the face too. We call ours Social Security, and which I think is a little more generous than old age, and something that we've all paid into, you know, from our working years. Now, Victor, what made you decide to design and illustrate the book for Eva? Is that just something you've always done with her books?
Just our, modus operandi. It's how we live and how we work together. We do everything together since we met.
Since we met? Yeah. We met 40 years ago.
Yeah, and for me it was not just a matter of choice. I knew that if Eva writes the book, I have no other option but only design a layout and a cover, and this time it was even some illustrations.
And Victor translated the book into English.
Oh,
so
okay.
For English book, he is my co-writer.
I'm a ghost translator for.
I should have you guys say where you guys are from, because that wasn't really mentioned. So why don't you, Eva, you want to tell people where you guys are living?
We are living in Lithuania, in Vilnius, in the capital of Lithuania. I was born here, and Victor is from Ukraine, from Kiev.
And we met in Latvia, so it's a complicated story. Lithuania is a very green country. It's full of forests and lakes, and we are happy to live in a forest, just in the middle of the forest, and it's 5 kilometers from the very city center.
So nice and peaceful.
It's unique. Yeah.
And it's so hot today. Is it hot in your place?
Oh yeah. We're going to have, I think, like 105 in heat index. The humidity is off the chart. And but there's a little breeze, so that helps.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah. But the air conditioning's working, so I'm happy. Okay, well, let's go on to kind of describe, because one of the things you talk about is dementia as a test to humanity, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say on that, what that means to you, because I have said that in different terminology, that I think there's a reason dementia is here. To teach us a lesson. So explain how you feel dementia is a test for humanity.
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
For me, it's quite literal how we treat others when no one is watching, yeah? When we have nothing to gain. And in this case, when we're staying with people with dementia, we really don't gain, we're not gaining anything at all. Yes.
Yeah, neither prize nor punishment.
Yes. And staying human is really, today is not easy because everybody around are telling for you to follow your joy, yes, to good vibes only, to stay away from people who drain us. And people with dementia, yes, of course they drain us. But all people, I think, close people are always and filling us and also draining us. And today kids are taught what they are taught. No one owes anyone anything. I think that this mantra is common also in your country, not only in ours. But it's a sinful lie. Because responsibility, shared duty is the most important mechanism in society. We can't live without responsibility. We can't live together, yes, in family, in country without responsibility. And this word still exists in our vocabulary, but it became a taboo in some contexts. For example, at school, yes? What are told teachers today that they that their task is not to test knowledge, but to avoid distress and especially shame and guilty, which can happen if student doesn't pass the exam. Yeah. But if we don't train our kids to take responsibility for passing exams, for washing dishes, for helping their parents, they would reject to take responsibility when they become adults. Yeah. They would not understand why they need to care about their grandmother or mother who is living with dementia. Why they need, yes? And especially if her character changed and became unbearable, and if she even don't recognize them. And such kind of help, staying together, happens always in silence and without applause. Yeah, no public rewards, no medals, and no punishment for walking away. So it's so easy to walk away. Yeah. So the only person who stayed knew, and perhaps other family members, but only them. And I think that approach to euthanasia also is a test of humanity. I am often asking myself, is it a mercy or it's a pure egoism? Yeah. Do we have the right to decide when somebody is ready to die? And especially when person with severe dementia is in constant pain pain, but still he is willing to live. And I don't pretend that I have the right answer. I don't know what my preference could be if I myself live with dementia. But I know for sure that nobody wants to be left alone.
Very true. That that loneliness factor is huge. I think when you were talking about the kids, helping with the dishes and things like that, it's not only help for their parents or elders, but it's, they have to take care of themselves. They have to learn how to take care of themselves and what all those little pieces are in terms of what is caring. And it is preparing the meal or going grocery shopping or doing the laundry or assisting somebody, if they're ill, and in trying to do that in a non-judgmental way, because illness isn't something people sign up for. It's not something that they want. And it can be a difficult journey, or, it can be less stressful if you try to reframe it and that everything's not doom and gloom. I'm a firm believer, and I don't know if you believe this or not, but you're going to find what you're looking for. So if you're going to look for all the terrible things, that's what you're going to see. But if you choose to look for joy, you will find it there too, with a person with chronic illness or disability or dementia. And it might show up differently because somebody might not be able to say the joke that they always used to be able to rattle off, but you can see it in the glint in their eyes, or maybe a subtle movement or a soft giggle. I think are kind of going away today in terms of the forms of communication that we have, with people just texting, and they're not looking at one another. They're using emojis and they're interpreting written words instead of actual facial expressions or body movements and things like that. Viktor, what are your thoughts about this test of humanity? Do you align with what Eva says?
Absolutely. As I told you, she's an author of the book, and she was thinking a lot about it and deepened into the matter. I did not.
But he was my biggest critic. He was my biggest critic. Really?
Yeah, because I was a chief of the publishing house, so it's what I really.
And I was sometimes so angry when he criticized me. Mm-hmm. But he often is right.
Yeah, I'm good in criticizing, but I'm not good in writing and thinking.
Well, and I think one of the great things about a book is it gets people thinking, and everyone doesn't have to align with exactly what an author is saying, but they're enticed, they're drawn in, and they start, analyzing things for themselves. And I think that's like one of the most powerful things that can happen, is to get us to think about topics that we don't talk about, or that are just kind of pushed to the side, and we don't look at them in a deep fashion, or look at what could we, as an individual do about this? Because I think I know here in America, it's like, oh, leave it to the government, they'll handle it. Well, that ain't working so good, especially nowadays. It's just, there's so much every individual can do to change outcomes and environments and comfort levels, and removing that loneliness in so many different fashions. I think, to me, that's one of the things I love about books or speakers, is they get me interested in thinking differently or challenging my own thoughts. And I might come out and go, nope, I still believe what I believe, but boy, that was a really good run in terms of why I believe that, or gosh, I was kind of off on that. I never considered, what the author was saying over here, and I need to adjust my belief system. I think it's great that, you can work together and, kind of do devil's advocate stuff,
yes,
to make it the best possible thing. And Victor, you sound like you might be like me. Like anytime somebody asks me for feedback, I always warn them, I'm going to come in from this side because I'm a devil's advocate. And that's just how I approach it, you know? So I'm not going to come in typically at the soft side because my mind just jumps in deep and broad. And I look from that point of view. And not that I feel like I'm always going to be right, but that's just how my brain operates, you know? And so it sounds like you guys are a good match in terms of trying to pull something together that's elevated. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
You know, for me, it was so funny that my friends, they were frightened when I told that I'm going to write the book about old age and especially about dementia. Some of them said that they will never read my book because they're so afraid, they're so frightened by this topic.
I see that. I mean, I can believe that people are out there because it is scary, and people think if they don't have control over it, then I'm not gonna go there. Or, you know, I live in this world, it's not happening to us, so we're gonna be just fine. And you guys can deal with it out there. But dementia can hit anybody at any time. And that's been
old age.
Yeah.
So you don't mention the word. I'm old, but you will become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that there's things that, you know, you can do to help prevent the onset of it or slow it down. You know, there's things out there from diet and exercise we've heard, sleep. One of the things that I heard for the first time from a neurologist was, he says, I think social interaction is the primary thing that fends it off. And I've been screaming that from the top of the roofs for ages. I just think it's important to stay socially connected. And I don't know, Eva, if you found as you age, if that's an important factor for you as well.
Of course, but I noticed some very beautiful changes in my inner world, of course. Yes, not outer world. I feel much more calm. And it's so good, yes. And I feel that meditation for me now, it's the state of life. It's not, I don't need to push myself to meditate. It just happens for me. I can stop when I see beautiful landscape, when I just looking at the sea or river or lake, yes. And it's natural. And I remember when I was young or when I was kid, for me it was a challenge when parents stopped me and say, look, it's so beautiful. And I thought they're absolutely fools, they're crazy, nothing that's beautiful, we need to run, because life is calling us, yes. Life is for those who are running, not for those who are stopping.
You know, we live in the same place now. It's almost 30 years. So we're 30 years younger when we moved here. And the forest around for us, it was 30 years ago, it was just a place of jogging for us.
Because we were runners. Yes.
Yeah, just a place for jogging.
About 10 years we were running.
And now we are not jogging, we are walking a lot. Tens of kilometers.
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
And we see what we never saw when we were jogging. So we can just stop and look and some new species of flowers starting to blossom, or red leaves, or whatever. It
falling leaves, falling snow, and
constant changes, and
it's
our
so beautiful.
And our keep okay, doesn't matter. We became a little bit Eastern people. Our feeling of the world became
more calm. Yes.
More calm and more Eastern. Just
But I think that it happens for most of people when they become.
Just find beauty in the very, very simple things.
Well, I think of even, parents and that angst of raising a child, and you want everything to be perfect. And then you become a grandparent. It's like, oh, push that stuff aside. We're just going to have fun. We're going to go with the flow. Life's going to go on. So somebody spilled something. We can clean it up. Where when you're a parent, you're embarrassed and you're anxious, and, you just want everything perfect. And so I think there is a piece as we grow older. And I don't know, as a young person, I always liked my quiet time. Like, I would work really hard during the week, but then I would even go up to the lake by myself, and my friends would be mad. Like, we want to go to the lake too. And I'm like, no, I just want to go by myself, because I want to go fishing. I want to go swimming. I want to listen to my music. And I don't want to have to meet anyone else's needs. I just want to relax and take everything in. And I think as a senior now, as an elder person, I appreciate that so much more. I'm not afraid of the quiet. I love the peace and quiet. I appreciate, like you said, out in the forest, listening to the ruffle of the leaves, instead of maybe, when you were jogging, the birds were probably flying out ahead of you, knowing you were coming, where now they're still in the trees tweeting and you can hear them. And I mean, it changes the environment, what we come in as, if we're calm or if we're just pushing through. That energy affects energy, is my belief. And to me, that peace and quiet is priceless. I mean, you can't pay for that. And when you were talking about meditation, just comes so naturally. It's not forced, because it's not a task anymore. You enjoy that space. Where before, anyways, for me, it was like a task. Okay, now I have to meditate. I'm trying to get myself on schedule for that 10 minutes. I'm going to find peace and calm, or 20 minutes, or whatever it's going to be. And then I'm going to jump back into it all again. And it's like, no, I'm going there because I want to stay there. I want that to last longer. So I think there's just a different appreciation after all the years of, kind of being taught and pressured to be people we may or may not have want to been, doing roles we may or may not have wanted to do, and to actually be able to breathe and say, no, this is what I really want. This is what I really appreciate in life. And this is saying no, or setting boundaries. Because again, I think when we're younger, I know in my family, I was not taught boundaries like that. I was brought up as a little girl in the 50s that, you're supposed to bring calmness to everyone else. You're supposed to hold the family together. You're the glue, and that's a role I played, well into my 50s, probably 45, 50 years old. And then I figured out, well, what about me? I'm feeling a little lost here. And so I think there's some huge gifts and wisdom that come with aging. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about was your book draws on some personal experiences and conversations, with people living with dementia that you've seen up close. I am wondering if there was anything that you felt dementia taught you about the person whose memory is beginning to fail. Like, what were their thoughts, their wants, their needs? Were there little signs that maybe they couldn't speak in words, but resonated with you?
I think that maybe you can speak about music and your mother, because for me it's it's a really strong story how people with severe dementia and with memory loss, how music can awaken them, yes, how they can return into what they were when they hear just sounds of music. For me, it's amazing because I saw it with Viktor's mother, my mother-in-law. Yeah, you don't want to tell the story how our children, her grandchildren visited her. It was before several months before she passed. Yes. And she did, and she was forgotten their names, and what happened when they started to listen classical music, Tchaikovsky, which was such a great fun.
Yeah, my mother was a very simple person. She was a child of WW2, so the family was poor. Her dad was killed. Not her dad, by foster dad. Doesn't matter. So she never was able to get a higher education, and she was just a very simple person. But what wasn't simple was her love to music. She knew everything. She could guess. She could recognize any music, any melody, classic melody, by its shortest fragment. And I looked for me like something maybe not very sincere. I thought maybe she invented this passion for herself, because she is a simple person. Why this affection toward the music? And when she got a dementia, and especially on the later stages, when less left from her personality, this remained. She could not anymore communicate, for example, by phone. She didn't understand what the phone is. But when us or our kids, her grandkids, let her to listen some familiar melody, she started to she started to move. She like revived.
And she was singing.
Yeah, and she was singing. Yes, yeah. And she was singing. He remembers remembered the words.
And now I remember, the story about Fly Me to the Moon singer Tony Bennett. You know your story, yes?
Yep.
Yeah. For me, it's so touching, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can tell you another thing, that when My dad, dementia stroke my dad. He could not, they lived together, my mom and my dad, and we and my brother lived separately. So she could not stay with him in the same living area.
Mm-hmm.
She had to go in the facility, but she came to him every day, and he was big. He had a passion. My mama had a passion for music, and he had a passion for poetry.
Poetry.
Yes. And when they walked in the yard of the facility, he read her poetry,
Wow.
verses of his favorite authors. Yeah.
And also I want to mention this factor of paradoxical lucidity, yeah, which I saw in my case of my mother. After her stroke, I told you that she had dementia progressed very quickly, and she forgot my name. She was calling me by my sister's name. But 1 week before her death, she suddenly, for 10 or 15 minutes, she suddenly became recognizable, absolutely. She recognized me, and we were talking. And for me, I was frightened to hear that she understand everything, and she understood that she is dying, and she told that she is afraid. And for me, it was really a shock, because I thought that she's calm, that she don't understand anything. And that's why now when I was writing this book, and when I'm talking with people who think that people with dementia are vegetables and they don't understand anything, I always tell them this experience, and tell them about researchers who tell the same, that many people, especially with Alzheimer's disease, about 20% have the same paradoxical lucidity, yes, months before their death, a week or several days.
Well, and I think that I think the lucidity actually, and again, I have no research on this, it's just my own personal experience, but I think the lucidity exists throughout the disease in terms of what they understand, but I don't think they can always communicate it back out. Because I do a lot of interviews with people living with dementia, and they put it this way to me one time, which made a lot of sense. They said, think of, someone who's lost their hearing or lost their sight. They all tell us their other senses kick in, to help them live better. And they said, that's what's happening with us. We can take it in, but we can't process it the same. And we can't maybe express ourselves the same. And I had many, many lucid moments with my mom. My mom lived with the disease for 30 years.
Wow.
And there were times, like you said, where she didn't know who I was. She would call me her mother and stuff. But then there would be other times she would be tracking a conversation. She could spit it back to you what was said and do some add-ons. And I mean, was just so in the zone, recognized everybody in the room. And then, it would fall away again. And sometimes it was seconds. Sometimes it was minutes, but it usually didn't last a whole day or even a half a day. I know there are people that have had that experience, so too. So I think we have to be very careful, not just with a person with dementia, but anybody. What we're saying with words or with our
Yes.
body language, because people are picking that stuff up. And they know when people, I mean, we all get that sense when somebody's talking about us. There's just kind of that sixth sense, and I think they still have that, or the even the words we choose. You know, when we talk so often about, oh, they're acting up, or you know, they're misbehaving, or they're, you know, instead of saying it's a reaction, you know, because having a behavior it brings me back to being scolded as a child. You know, I didn't live up to somebody's standards, and again, having a disease, or aging on the whole, or you know, losing your hearing or your eyesight or whatever it is, those aren't choices that we make. Those are just things that happen to our body, and you know, we have to try to be able to live the best life we can with those now deficits, you know, that we're been given. And I think we all want people to be able to support us and understand us, or you know, even if they don't understand us, at least respect us, you know, that we're a human being, and treat us with dignity. And I think so often that is lost, and that's one of the things I hear elders say all the time, is they feel invisible in certain, you know, like I don't matter anymore. My voice, my opinion, or even if I'm standing in the room, I don't feel seen. Like I'm brushed aside, not valued. And I don't know if that's something you talk about in your book as well, but I think that overlaps with any chronic illness, if it's dementia or not, that feeling of not belonging to society at the level you used to.
You know, in Eva's book, one of the most important parts is a part about non-study.
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
About cognitive activity. And I think that this was one thing that worsened my mother's situation, because after 60, she started to lose her sight very quickly. She had some inherited disease, incurable, and she could see people, recognize people, she could watch TV, but she totally lost ability to read. And I think that it was a fatal thing for her, because you know, any chance for her to develop some, you know, something that could soften the, I don't know, sorry, but you understand what I wanted to say.
The power of reading, yes, for our brain. And I am writing in my book about this power. I'm mentioning non-study. Yeah. For me, it's very inspiring, because for me, reading and writing is everything. It's my life. I'm writing every day for 8 hours, I think so. Just because for me, it's my inner me. Yes.
Yeah. And besides help, there is also a self-help. Somebody can still climb up on the elevator that brings him down. We should do it.
I agree. And I think, I was just reading a study the other day, and they were talking about writing with your hand versus typing creates a lot more brain activity and brain flow too, which I think a lot of people have lost. And I know for me, many times I will do my rough draft by hand. And then I'll go to the computer because I gotta save it, but I usually try to, especially if I'm in a creative mode, I'll sit with a pad of paper and a pen and work that way. And for me, it feels more natural. I don't know if that how writing works for you, and especially when you do it full time. I don't write 8 hours a day for sure.
I can show you the cover of the first edition of Eva's book in Lithuanian.
Okay.
And it is about this metaphor of elevator.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
You see it.
And she's running up the down elevator.
Yep.
Yep, understand that. In wrapping up here, I wanted to just talk with both of you about yourselves as you age and your thoughts about dementia. Because you've both had dementia in your family, does that worry you at all? I know I get asked that question a lot. And I'll throw it to Viktor first. Do you think about, am I likely to get dementia? And if I did, what would I do?
Not to think about it. Sure, I do. But I'm not, how to say, I'm not paranoid about it, as is, for example, our friend. She was so much frightened by her mother's example, whom she cared about her mother for many years. And she was so frightened about herself that she constantly, she paranoically tests herself every time, every second. So we don't do it. We just try to be active. That's it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it too. I've asked many doctors that question, if they worry about it, because some of them have had it in their family and some haven't. And I asked them, would you ever get the genetic test? I've not had one doctor say yes, not one. They all say, we're all made up of a bunch of different genes, but are they going to mutate? We don't know. And so they're not going to worry about something that may never even happen. They can do preventative stuff if they want to and be conscious of, just like heart health and all the other stuff. But adding worry onto it and stress, to me, those are probably two of the biggest developers of disease that we have. And so I wouldn't want to add any more to that myself. How about you, Eva?
Oh, I'm not paranoical, really. Yeah. And this question I was asking myself when I was writing my book. Yeah. And again, I will talk about non-study. You remember, yes?
Yes.
In non-study, it was the greatest research, yes,
Yeah.
after brain autopsy, that some nun who were active and bright mind till the very end of their life, after autopsy,
they found that
it was discovered that their brain was damaged by Alzheimer's. What it means that you can have and don't feel it. So
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.
So I think that maybe for such person as me, it's better not to do any tests. Yes? No, don't search if I have some decline, because if now I feel bright mind, yes, I have no memory loss, and if the test would show that
It's positive.
that I have it, I will start to search it, yes, and if I'll search, I will find it. So in some cases, it's better to keep your eyes closed and just to be positive. Yeah.
Just to know.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, again, I think staying socially active, trying to reduce any loneliness, I think those are two really big factors. Of course, you can, eat better and get some exercise and make sure you're getting sleep and doing all of those types of things. But I think when people lose hope, when they don't feel purposeful or connected, that's when everything takes a turn and it gets much worse. And I don't care if it's dementia or some other disease, so I think it's important to stay connected and positive and purposeful and do as much as you can. I mean, I know my body doesn't work like it used to work, and there's things that I can't do the way I used to do them. And I can either accept that, I can try to improve my ability to do that, or I can just be angry about it and depressed.
Yeah.
We have choices that we can make about that, and we have choices that we can make about those who are going through that, on how are we going to care or interact with them as well. It might change from day to day depending on what's on your particular plate, how much you can do for another person. But that doesn't mean if you can't do it today that you can never, ever do something. That's a choice. And, I think we have to not hide behind excuses that sometimes we build up in ourselves with that. I think this aging topic and dementia is so important. And I would really encourage people to Afternoon of Life, Dementia, Aging, and the Courage to Stay. It's very, I think, eye-opening it will be for people, just because I think we've had a good conversation here on thoughts and different ways to look at things. You can purchase the book on Amazon. They have an official Facebook page called Afternoon by Eva Tombak. And she also has her own Facebook page, but that's in Lithuanian only. So if you can't read Lithuanian, try not going to help you on that page. And you can also directly email her at Eva, EVA, at her last name, Tombak, TOMBAK.LT. So any last comments that you want to wrap up with at all?
I just want to say that testing, for me, the best test of dementia is writing. When you're writing, you see your thoughts. Are they clear or not? Yeah, so it's really a good test, and you don't have to pay for it. You can do it by yourself.
Well, that's good. That's good to know for sure. Anything you'd like to add, Victor?
Just thank you. It was amazing conversation, and it was a honor.
It
for
was,
us. Yeah.
oh, I want to, I like metaphor of astronauts. So I like approach that people who have issues with dementia, that they're like astronauts who are going to the moon, and people who are staying with them, they're the crew that helps them. Yeah. And also they're learning something very important. It's not only the test of humanity. They're just affirming that they're human because they're together.
I like that team approach and, going off to the moon. I always said, like, there were many times I would see my mom and she would be in a quiet area, maybe looking out a window, and she was having a conversation with people who had passed. And I always felt like there were times where she just kind of crossed the veil and interacted. And I know some people think that that's too woo-woo-y. Other people are like, yeah, get her on a medication. She's hallucinating. And I'm like, no, she's comfortable. She's happy. She's fine. If I can't deal with that, that's on me. That's how I frame it. And I know not everybody does. But I do think, I think that there's so much that they teach us. And I know with my mom, she taught me to love unconditionally in multiple levels. And even after she passed, there were different ways of communicating that I didn't know existed, where she would come to me in dreams and different things. And so even though she's been gone since 2014, I still feel very connected to her. And to me, that's really comforting. For some people, maybe not so much. But I think everyone has to kind of devise their own journey and decide, are they going to look at this as a, horrific thing that's going to ruin somebody's life and theirs? Or are they going to make the best of it and join hands and move forward? So again, thank you both so much for joining us today. For our audience, I always ask you to be a giver of hope, like, click, and share. People need to hear this conversation. And, don't forget to go to Amazon and buy Eva Tombak's book, The Afternoon of Life, Dementia, Aging, and the Courage to Stay.
With funny pictures of Viktor. Really funny pictures.
Yes.
Yes.
With the touch of dark humor.
No, you have some
very dark, not very dark. Okay, thank you, Lori.
Thank you,
Thank
Lori.
you. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
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 What a great conversation about aging and dementia and the choices that we have and that we make during life as we grow. So again, in wrapping up, please don't hesitate to check out alzheimersspeaks.com for all of our free educational resources, as well as Dementia Map, our global resource directory. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye now.
Caring for someone with dementia is one of the toughest journeys, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Allison Schreier, and my experience caring for my husband inspired me to create Zinnia, a therapeutic streaming service designed to support people living with dementia and reduce caregiver stress. Zinnia offers research-backed videos intentionally created for people with dementia, engaging, calming, and easy to follow. Whether you need to ease agitation, create moments of joy, or make daily routines smoother, Zinnia is here to help. Family and professional caregivers use our content to turn challenges into opportunities for connection. Accessible by subscription on mobile devices and connected TVs, Zinnia is simple to use whenever you need it. Because when caregiving feels easier, life feels better. Go to zinniatv.com and sign up for a free trial today. Use the code RESOURCE for 15% off an annual Zinnia subscription.